overlap, and you know how that goes. Okay, it's showing me that we're live on YouTube and Facebook. So I just want to check and make sure that we are in fact live and it's not lying to us. And for those of you that are hopping on and can see us and hear us, give us that thumbs up. Let us know that you are excited for this broadcast and that we look terrific. We also like comments, so give us compliments, shout outs. Let us know that you're here with us. And then we will get started shortly. I know Joni has a lot of great content to share, and so I don't want to take up too much time waiting. Let's see here. I think I'm finally at the point. Okay, we are live. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started and get this show kicked off. Thank you all for hopping on with us, and happy Wednesday. We're in the middle of the week, which is already flying by. But good morning. I am Juliette Abdel, President and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce. And if you are new to this video broadcast, which we always have at least one or two that are newer with us, make sure that you hit the like button on our Facebook page, the notification, so you can get those alerts whenever we do go live. And then find us on all of our other social media platforms. We're actually on Instagram and on Twitter at Westy Chamber. And then we're also on YouTube, where you can find a lot of these videos. And many of them are also available on our COVID Resource Hub page. That's westminsterchamber.biz/COVID-19 update. So long in text, but I've included that into the comment section of this broadcast. I will leave this up as an example. So if you're hopping on with us and you think of something or you gain an idea, or just, it was a moment that you absorbed this information, or maybe you just had a question about some of what has been shared, please type it into the comment section of this broadcast. We'll display it toward the end and make sure that we get this answered for you by our experts. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce this topic and who we have with us. Many of you have seen the information about this in advance whenever we promoted this week's events, and we were able to highlight a little bit of a glimpse of it yesterday in our broadcast. Today, we have a topic that's focused on redesigning your business model. During COVID, a lot of us had this uncertain mentality. We didn't really know what we were going to do and how to approach business or even run our business. And so a lot of our videos help to support your business in adapting. And then we address some of the concerns with reopening, those legal implications, insurance questions that you had, and more. Today's topic is featuring Joni Inman. Joni Inman is the president and CEO of Joni Inman Consulting. She's also the executive director for the Colorado Women's Alliance. And I'm pleased to say that we've worked with her for strategic planning activities before in the past. And I know she has a wealth of knowledge that she'll be able to hopefully condense into a snippet for us and expand on later on should we have additional questions. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. For those of you that do hop on during this broadcast, don't forget to comment and include your questions below for us. Thank you, Joni.
Thanks, Juliette, and hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here, and I am a member of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce as well, and have done a lot of work with not only the chamber team, but businesses in the area as a business consultant. And I work with 20 to 30 active small businesses at any given time. I serve as like a virtual business partner, even though I don't own any piece of their business. I act as if I do, and we have partnership meetings. And my range of clients is everywhere from accounting firms and IT companies and doctors and dentists, and you just name it. It's across the board with small business. And as you can imagine, so many of my clients have been directly impacted by the closures as a result of the stay-at-home orders, and it's just been very difficult. Depending on the industry you're in, some have really flourished. You take an IT company, an IT support company with everybody working at home and changing their offices and moving their offices home, and it's a good time for that industry. And yet there are others that just can't quite figure out how to continue operating or how to stay relevant during this time. And I'm here to tell you that in most cases, you can stay operating by simply changing your business model a little bit. You can definitely, so sorry about that. I'm so sorry.
You mean
Live.
you're getting
Okay.
buzzed? Like
Live.
there's stuff to do.
They're calling in with questions already. You know, I apologize for that. No idea. I thought I took care of that. I apologize. Bear with me for just a minute. Okay, bear with me for just a minute. And they're leaving a message. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let me just kind of talk through this. So I think you can absolutely continue business and or stay relevant during this business time so that you can return to business either as normal or improved. Shall I just pause for just a moment? I apologize. Okay. I thought I had that ringer turned off. Okay. So let me back up a little bit. Okay. So I think that you can absolutely either continue on with business as it is, improve business, definitely stay relevant in the marketplace while we're moving through this COVID time, or we can actually gain business and grow business during this time. And many of my clients have. And here are some steps to take as you are doing this. And hopefully you've got like pen and paper ready. The first thing you want to do is really understand what our business market is pre-COVID. Make sure you clearly understand who were you serving? Who were your clients, your patients, your customers? Who were they? And develop a matrix of definition of those target markets. If your target market was professional women in white collar positions who have children and are very busy and they just don't know how to keep up, and your business supported them, mark that down as a target market. If your business was retail and you were doing direct sale in retail and it was reliant on people coming to your place of business, please mark that down in a box and continue to do that. So identify who were our customers, right? Pre-COVID. And then take a look at what did we do for them, right? Did we sell them something? Did we prepare meals for them? Did we teach them something? Did we take care of their pets? What was it that we actually did for that target market? What did we sell them during the pre-COVID normal time of doing business? What was it? And then next to each one of those, I'd like for you to look at how did we do it and how do we do it differently today? Because in most cases, there are some situations, of course, where businesses have had to shut down completely. And that's really difficult, and some can come back and some will have a difficult time doing that. But if we look at what we did for them, who they sold to, who were their clients, patients, customers, and how are they doing business differently, we can determine what we can do to help them. They really need to look at how they're finding their clients, right? Where did we find them before? Did we find them in some concentrated way? Were there associations? Were there chambers where we found them? Where did we find those clients and customers, and how do we do it differently today? I think if we go back and we look at our target markets and we ask ourselves those questions, what do we sell them? What do we provide for them? And how can we do it differently? I think the answer will be very creative for you. You have to move into why did they choose to do business with us in the first place? What was it that they valued? Was it really our communication? Was it our relationship? Was it our food? Was it our clothing? Was it the product? What was it that each of those valued? So now we know who they are, what we sold them, and what it was about us and our business that caused them to do business with us, to sell them those items or provide that service to them. If the answer is we knew them, we developed relationships as I do with my business clients, then you ask yourself, can I still continue communications and building relationship under the current situation? And I think in most cases where you have a relationship-based business, you absolutely can do that. When it is a service or a product, it's a little bit more difficult. So if you look at how do I sell something? Do I sell an actual item? There are many different ways to sell online and virtually, but you don't want to completely change your business model to make it so different that you can't ever return to at least the valuable parts of the first ways that you serve those customers. And I'll give you an example of this. Let me give you a better example. If you're a service organization, because that's even more difficult, you're an alterations lady, right? You do alterations, you do business with your clients, and they come to your place of business, and you have them try on the jacket or whatever needs to be adjusted, and you take that from them, and you're interacting one-on-one, and now you can no longer do that. You want to make sure that you are making adjustments so that you can return to that business model, but perhaps enhance it through some changes we're making today. If you are in that situation, how can we provide that same service? Well, we can talk to them. It's relationship based, and we say, okay, you have this dress that you want to have shortened. I'd like for you to measure from your waist down to the length you want. I want you to measure around your waist. I want you to measure around your hips. I am just so sorry about this. I'm trying to actually turn it off, and it's not happening.
Well, while you're doing that, quick shout out to Mike Lazar. Thank you for hopping on, Brian Head, and Parker Brown.
Okay. Good. Hi, everybody. Thanks for your patience. So you can tell them, look, give me all of your measurements and drop this item off for me, and I'll take a look at it, and I'll see if I can do it, and we'll have it ready for you next Tuesday, and we'll arrange for a drop off or some other way to do it. But so many of the small businesses that I've seen have thrown up their hands and said, well, we can't do business the way we always did it, therefore we can't do business. And I think it's a great opportunity to look at a more creative solution. It's also a great opportunity to look at new product. I heard that there's insurance representatives online. If you are selling an insurance product, one, you can your relationship based from the very beginning, and you can continue your relationship based business. Two, is there another product or service that is relevant to your customers, clients, or patients during this time? And if there is, now is the time to get on the phone with them, and on the phone by voice, person to person, and tell them about the product that could be relevant for them at this time and increase your sales that way. We want to always be creative and looking for opportunities to make some money during this time. So another trend I've noticed is that a lot of businesses that could actually offer their services virtually have now decided that, well, I can't charge for it anymore because I used to do it in person and I can't do it in person, therefore I can't charge for it. I'll take, for example, a yoga studio. Okay. If you had pre-COVID and you had people coming to your yoga studio and you had somebody up in front of the class and you were teaching them and walking them through yoga, relaxation exercises and others, and you can do that now online, why would you suddenly move to, we're doing this for free now? Why wouldn't you say, we're going to continue our classes, we're going to be doing them online, and we're still going to be charging for them and develop a way to bring them in that way. So the key to all of this is, one, identify your target markets and your customer, client, or patient base prior to COVID. Identify clearly what you were selling to them, what they were buying from you, and identify why they were spending money with you. If you can identify those and where you found them in some congregate way, if it was at a chamber, you can still participate in a chamber and you can still find them in that forum. Then you go back and you look at, are there services that I can provide that I wasn't providing? prior to COVID, and you get a little creative about that. Can I still provide the services? And if so, how do I charge for that? And you can do that. I mean, we are in such a great virtual world now. It's amazing. Even medicine is being done online now. You'll note that veterinary practices are still doing veterinary medicine. You just drive up and they come out and get your pet and they take them in and they bring them out. I can tell you that veterinary medicine has probably changed because so many people enjoy that option to be able to do that. So those are the keys that I would give to you. Know your target, what you were selling them, why they were buying it from you, and where you found them. And then go back and analyze that. Still your target. What can I sell them that's different or the same? And how do I do it? And why were they doing it? Was it personal relationship? Keep that up, right? Was it because conveniently located? It's a little bit tougher, but we can overcome that. Was it because we have a product that nobody else has? We still have a product that nobody else has, right? What was it? And analyze it, how we can do it differently. But I urge you all, don't just throw up your hands. Don't just walk away from your business, and don't presume that you can't charge because you are now virtual instead of in person. Any questions?
Thank you, Joni. Yeah, so we have a quick comment from Brian Head. He's thanking you for being here with us, and he's sharing, he's known you for years and always learns something new almost every time that you all speak. So that is accurate. I do second that as well, Brian. Thank you for hopping on and sharing that. So, Joni, we talk about, you really broke it down, and I thought that was really nice for people to take a step back and really evaluate their business and reevaluate how it's changed, and kind of use that as a way to link back to the primary driver behind their target audience, and ensuring that they continue to be that important resource to them. One of the questions that I do have with you is more on the strategic side of things. So generally, when a business is planning, we have different measures for success. And, these are usually termed as, key performance indicators or metrics that we use and things like that. If I were to ask you during this time, what would be some of those new critical success factors? Because it will have changed a little bit given that, we can't necessarily predict the uncertainty of things.
Mm-hmm. I think number one, it's really communication and interaction is always a success factor, right? If we have clients and prospects still communicating with us, if they are coming to our websites, if they are calling us on the phone, if they are emailing us, if we are staying in touch with them to stay relevant, if we are increasing our communication, if we used to do a monthly newsletter and now we're doing a newsletter weekly to stay in touch with our customers, clients, patients, friends, if we are sending them information on how information and or business so that they can stay financially stable in order to afford us and continue to do business with us, I think that tracking that communication and the return on communication is one of the success factors that we can follow. I also think that bringing in new business, if you can see in medical practices, dental practices, veterinary practices, in insurance services, you can actually, you can track, am I getting the same number of phone calls? Am I getting the same number of reach outs? Am I converting at the same rate? If I am dependent on Google Ads and people calling in off the website, what are the metrics? Or if we had 1,000 people a day and now we're down to 500 a day, that's a metric we want to pay attention to. If we're at 1,000 or moving up to 1,200, we know that we're reaching people in a very valid way. And what were we doing differently now that we maybe weren't doing pre-COVID, that we should continue to do? More frequent communication, more tips, more classes, numbers are always the key indicators.
Absolutely. And I think that's really good, tangible things for them to be mindful of. So I'm glad that you gave some examples that they can really look back to and review on their own. So hypothetically, right? So we ask, ourselves, what is the reason that this consumer came to us? And if, for example, one of those, and I know you went through a variety of reasons that they may have gone to seek your business or product or service and continue to be your customer, but if one of those was, for example, your employees, and we're in a situation where those companies don't necessarily have the same employees, or maybe they've had to stagger their hours or place them in other roles outside of what they used to be in, or where they actually flourished in their strengths. So how do you foresee that they can reshuffle or make sure that they're still providing? I mean, is it a matter of, well, since this was the primary reason, I need to try and figure out how to bring Susie Q back in the game, or what can they do to try and fill that specific need that's there clearly, but that they're unable to because of the situation that COVID's created with that employee?
It really is a temporary adjustment of your strategic plan. So all businesses should have more than one line of revenue. If you don't, call me. All businesses should have more than one line of revenue. So you do an analysis on what is your top producing, maybe your top producing 3 lines of revenue, right? Mm-hmm. And during a time of emergency, you want to focus more on those than you do on the other 7 lines of revenue. So you may not be able to do it all. You can do what is in your customer, clients, or patients' best and highest and best interest, right? But you may not be able to do it all. I mean, clearly you may not. So you focus on the top 3 revenue producing activities that your chamber or your business has and always has had, and you look at how can we, with our existing resources, maintain those top 3 revenue producing lines at the greatest potential possible. And you have to be willing to kind of set aside some of those lower producing activities during that time. It's just a reprioritization. You know, I've belonged to a lot of groups and a lot of chamber groups. In fact, I do a lot of work with chambers, and many chambers, not this one, this is a really good, excellent chamber, but some chambers just don't give up on something that they've done forever. I was recently on a business after hours with another unnamed chamber, and there were 4 people on it, and a staff member. Are we effectively using that staff member's time to do that activity during this time period? I don't think we are. I think that staff member's time would be better used calling our chamber members and saying, how are things going? Personal phone calls, right? Mm-hmm. Staying relevant with your customers, patients, members, staying relevant with them, using that resource applied in a different, more productive way, a better return on time. So we have to adjust. And what happens with that is we end up reprioritizing and letting go of some things that maybe we should have let go of a long time ago, but we're reluctant to do. And we find that it actually still works.
Absolutely. And, you know, we as well tried to, and it's all a matter of trial, evaluating, and see what works and what doesn't. You know, very early on, we did a virtual after hours, and it was way more than 4. We were probably closer to about the 30 mark. It was still comparatively to what we're used to when we're getting into the hundreds, it was substantially different. And so we looked at that. We knew there was still a need for people to connect, and we redeveloped that socially distant program that we now have. So it is a matter of trial and error. And just because you do something and it doesn't provide what you were hoping for, it doesn't mean it won't work. It just means that you can figure out a way that you can do that more productively that actually fills your business and your relevancy for your consumer. Mm-hmm. So this is a rather large question. So I'll place it up here briefly, then I'll reread it and phrase it to you, Joni, and then I'll take it off so people can see our lovely faces. So Brian's asking, what advice can you provide to business owners who've been impacted by shutdowns or rules at city, county, or state levels on the best way they can engage and make their voices heard by policymakers? Also, are there things policymakers could be doing to better facilitate the type of innovation that you are referencing? So this is a two-part question. I know, Joan, you wear many hats. One of those through CWA is an element of education and resource providing and advocacy statewide. And so this question really ties to a lot of that work and work that you do in the arena of public policy. So if you can share a couple of tips related to businesses on what they can do to make their voices heard or best way to engage. And then what can policy experts be doing or policy makers that could facilitate better innovation and actually support businesses during this process. And before I have you answer this, I'll kind of share, we're all on these countless calls, and there was at one point where I was on one that I cringed because someone who is in a capacity to help shape conversation for those guidelines and things was, well, businesses should be able to change things up and change the way their businesses run. And so that was one of those moments that you're like, there's a clear disconnect between understanding everything that a business has to put in place for them to actually do what they're doing.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that question, Brian. I think first, how can they get their voices heard? Our policymakers, governmental leaders, many of them are making decisions about business, and as Juliet said, they've never run a business, right? They don't realize how much time, money, and energy it even takes to shut down or restart. They don't understand it. Now, that's not to say that they're bad people or anything like that. They just have not had the experience that we have had as small business owners. When business owners talk to those elected officials and or health department directors, typically they'll talk in broad terms. They'll say things like, my restaurant was down 30% in revenue. That doesn't help them see or feel the situation. So what we need to give to them to help them make really good decisions, we need to give them a real detailed sense of what it's like. And I was recently talking to an elected official, and I said, I told this story, and you do it through stories, right? And she had no idea. I said, this hairdresser that I know could not continue to do business. She is the mother of 2 small children, and her husband is disabled. She's the sole source of income for the family. And before there was any opportunity for her, they were living paycheck to paycheck. And before there was any opportunity to receive any PPP funds or anything like that, she had to do something to make money. And this hairdresser actually sold her personal reproductive eggs to get enough money to survive. Okay, now we're making that we're bringing them into the household of a small business owner who is impacted. We're giving them something tangible to imagine, to believe. When you see health department statistics, you see hospitalizations, you see death rates, you see, all of these things, they're just numbers. They're not personal, right? They're not personal. So in that story, it was to this elected official, I said, we have to get her back to work, right? We have to get her back to work. So how do we do that? So we ask those policymakers to have an exchange and a conversation with us. The next time they're listening to their health director about numbers and all of that, now they're seeing an actual face, an actual person. So that's the first thing, is help them bring it on home to them. What can the policymakers do? I'm going to show my bias here, but it is get out of the way, right? We tend to put, the general we, tend to put so many restrictions on business normally pre-COVID, that sometimes we make it very difficult for a business to survive. Now we have seen that even with the slow roll opening, you can open, but you must do these things, right? What's the logic behind those decisions? So I ask the policymakers, use logic when making those decisions on what a business needs to do to open. I don't know one single business, none, not one, and I deal with them every single day, that either a business owner that either wants to get sick or wants their employees to get sick or wants their children to get sick or even their mailman, right? They don't want that either. And so I do think that there is high value in allowing businesses, which are all very different, to design their own safety measures and just kind of get out of the way of that. There'll be some irresponsible ones for sure, but I would say 99% of them, they want to do business and make money, and they want me to come. They don't want me to be sick, right?
Right. Well, and that's a great point, because what we were seeing was a lot of those businesses already putting in place measures, whether it was sanitizing every few seconds or setting timers or staggering their employees in groups so that the groups aren't overlapping. We were seeing a lot of that already before those guidelines and rules came out. It's funny that you said for us to have our businesses be the ones that are drafting what that would look like and what to do, because that was one of the things earlier on I was pushing for is, why don't we have those businesses submit what they're going to be doing, the parameters, and send it through. And if for some reason, it looks like, oh, this probably could be a little bit better, here's our suggestion on this, sure, why not? At that point, you're still allowing the business to be thinking specific to their line of work through their lens on what they're able to do, and then allowing for that communication. Of course, that wasn't taken in, but it was still, it was one of those things I was definitely pushing on. And thank you for sharing that story. I think a lot of times it is very important to try and explain more than just the fact and the number. And as you shared, 20% loss or 30% loss, nobody knows what that is for your business, so what that looks like. They don't know what you had to begin with. So until you actually share more than just, we had this much decline or this many number of employees that were lost, but you actually show what that impact was, people are not going to digest it as easily. So it was definitely a hard one to digest. Thank you to our board chairman for hopping on. He's sharing thanks to both Joni and I know he's a little bit late. We're actually right over the 30-minute mark, Joni. This speeds by. I shared that earlier. It just within a minute. It does. So I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. And I think everybody that's tuned in, if you've gleaned something from this and you know that you'll be able to implement it in your business, let us know, comment that. If you end up watching this video on replay, give us that hashtag replay so we know that you found this content relevant and useful. And do your best to also reshare this on your page, to your friends, to anyone that you really know that might be in a position where they need that example and expertise on how they can really redesign their business models, refocus, and prepare themselves for success, even in a situation that's uncertain as right now. Thank you again to Joni for spending the morning with us. Joni is from Joni Inman Consulting and the Colorado Women's Alliance, and numerous other entities that you have your hands in. Joni, what is the best way that somebody can reach you if they were trying to?
Sure. First, I so apologize for the phone interruptions. I really don't know how that happened. Thought I had it turned off. And you can actually email me, Joni, Joni, at joniinmanconsulting.com, or you can call me at 303-568-0874. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you. And what we've done is actually typed out Joni's contact information. Hopefully I did that quick enough that it captured it right with no misspellings. It's Joni at joniinmanconsulting.com. You can also call Joni at 303-568-0874. quick flash, there's a hashtag, look for Joni, hashtag Joni for Jeffco, to figure out what that is and know more about that effort as well. So I appreciate you for you all for spending the morning with us. I appreciate you, Joni, as well. We will be back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. for our nonprofit corner. We will be featuring with us Lauren Werner. She is the executive director of the Westminster Legacy Foundation. They've been doing a variety of things during this time. Very early on, her and I connected so we can try and information share together. So please bring your questions on the nonprofit front, how you can get more involved in the community to our broadcast tomorrow at 11 a.m. I appreciate you guys so much, and thank you, Joni.
Bye-bye.